Welcome to the Holy Cross High School tablet training video. This video will help you understand how your new tablet will function and operate. Your tablet will have a full version of Windows 8 Professional installed on it. Please make sure you watch the video so you are prepared to use the tablet on your first day of school.
In addition to being able to use a keyboard and mouse, Windows 8 was designed from the ground up to take advantage of modern touchscreens on laptops, desktops, and tablets. Let's review basic navigation in Windows 8 using the touch interface. When you first log into Windows 8, you'll be at the Start screen. The Start screen is the replacement for the Start menu that was previously found on the Windows desktop since Windows 95. Instead of the traditional static icons we've grown accustomed to, the Start screen has tiles that dynamically update their content. To navigate through the Start menu, we need to touch the screen with our finger, and then swipe it left or right. By default, it will just show the most common tiles that have been pinned to your Start screen. You can show additional apps on the Start screen by opening the Apps menu, by swiping our finger from the top or bottom of the screen towards the center. In either case, the menu will open on the bottom of the screen. On the right side, touch to select All Apps. The Apps screen will now open. On the left side under Apps are all the Windows 8 apps that were downloaded and installed from the Windows Store. These are the modern style apps that are built around the new dynamic tiles. On the right side are all the Windows System tools and other traditional Windows desktop applications. Every time you install a new application, it will show up here, if it doesn't already show up on the first Start screen. If we were to just click on one of the tiles, it would launch the application. Now let's say that we want to have one of these applications show up on the default Start screen. Touch the tile and hold it down. Now drag it down slightly until we see the gray checkbox in the top right turn white, and then release it. This will open the App menu with the available options. We also have the option here to pin to task, which will place a quick launch icon on the taskbar on the traditional Windows desktop. This is for all versions of Windows 8 except for Windows RT. To get back to the default Start screen, we can open the charm bar and select Start.
Or you can press the Windows button on your tablet. Either one will get you back to the Start screen.
You can adjust the placement of the tiles by pressing down on the tile and then sliding the tile down to remove it from its current location. You can move it around to its desired location and then release it. As you probably noticed, as you move the tile around, the other tiles automatically reposition themselves. Looking around the Start screen, you may notice that some of the tiles are a single square, while others are double-wide rectangles. We can adjust any tile to make it either a single or double. Let's touch one of the app tiles, hold it down, and then drag it slightly down until we see a gray checkbox in the top right that turns white. Then we'll release it. This will again open the App menu. Repeating the same steps will close the App menu. If the tile is currently a double, we'll have the option to select smaller. If it's a single, we'll have the option to select larger. We also have the option here to turn Live Tile on or off. Turning this off will prevent the tile from dynamically updating its content. If you want to completely remove the application from the computer, you can select Uninstall. If you just don't use the application, but you don't want to uninstall it, then you can just select Unpin from Start to remove it from the default Start screen view. Now let's open the new universal toolbar called the Charm Bar. It's called the Universal Toolbar because it can be opened from anywhere within Windows 8, as well as any Windows 8 apps. To open the Charm Bar, we need to swipe a finger from the far right side of the screen towards the center. If you navigate away from the Start screen, you can get back at any time by clicking the Start icon located in the center of the Charm Bar. If you are already on the Start screen, selecting Start will open the traditional Windows desktop. Let's select Search at the top of the bar. The search window will open. We can search by apps, settings, and files. By default, it searches by apps. Let's enter the word Internet. We need to touch in the Apps field. At any time, we can close the on-screen keyboard by touching the bottom right icon on the keyboard, and then selecting the far right option. By default, it searches apps. We can see the results of the search on the left panel. There is only one app that matches the search, which is Internet Explorer. Now, leaving the search term, we can click on Settings to search the system settings. We can select Files, but there are no matches on this system. This is not searching all the files on your computer, just the ones in the Windows library, such as the user profile. In addition to being able to search these three areas, we also have the option to search using one of the Windows 8 apps. For instance, we could search using the Maps app to find local banks. Let's navigate back to the Start screen and open the charm bar to continue. Let's select the Settings option. Touching Power will bring up a context menu with options to sleep, shut down, or restart. Selecting outside the menu will close it. We can adjust the master volume of the system with the Sound option. After touching it to open the menu, we slide our finger up and down to adjust the volume. We also have the option to touch the speaker to mute it. The icon on the settings screen will now show muted with an X by its side. If we want to adjust PC settings, we can touch to select Change PC Settings. This will open the PC Settings Windows 8 app. This is where you can personalize your account, add users, and more.
Although we do advise that students do not change many of their settings.
Let's navigate back to the Start screen by opening the charm bar and clicking on the Start button. In previous versions of Windows, you launched multiple applications on the traditional Windows desktop. They would open with icons in the taskbar and have a red X to close out the window with the ability to resize them. The new default Windows 8 interface is the Modern UI, or Modern User Interface. The new interface launches new applications called Windows 8 apps. These were previously called Metro apps. Windows 8 apps are only available in the Windows 8 Store, much like Apple iOS apps in the App Store or Android apps in the Google Play Store. Then you can run these new apps in addition to the traditional Windows desktop applications. You can get to the traditional Windows desktop if it applies to you by selecting the desktop tile on the Start screen. If you have any traditional Windows applications like QuickBooks, Games, or any others made for Windows 7 or earlier, then selecting them on the Start screen will open them on the traditional desktop. This is very similar to the old Windows desktop, except there is no Start menu. We still have the taskbar at the bottom. Any applications that we have pinned to taskbar will show up on the left side. The system tray shows on the right with the clock and typical running applications we've been accustomed to in the past. Let's open an application like Internet Explorer. We can make it full screen by touching, or minimize just like we did before. If the window is not full screen, we can touch the edge and move it to resize the window. Touching the screen once is like left-clicking with the mouse. If we want to right-click, we need to touch the screen and hold down until we see a box, and then let go. And then, depending on where you are, you get the appropriate right-click menu. To get back to the Start screen, let's open the charm bar and then select Start. Let's take a look at how the new Windows 8 apps work. The dynamic tiles that are now the default for Windows 8 apps will change what shows up inside the tile. Each app will show relevant new information like new email, news, messages, photos, and more. Let's open a Windows 8 app like Internet Explorer. Switching between apps. Each of the new style apps takes up the entire screen. You can switch between any of the apps you have open by swiping your finger from the left side of the screen towards the center. With Windows 8, there is the option to open two Windows 8 apps at the same time in a split screen mode. To do this, we need to touch the screen with our finger in the top center, and then swipe it down to the center while we keep it held down. Make sure it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. You can then slide the window to either the left or the right side and then release it to dock it. Now we can click the empty space to open an additional application, or just as before, where we switched through the apps we used, we can swipe our finger from the left side to the center. One of the applications is primary and takes up about 2/3 of the screen. The smaller app takes up 1/3. This can be changed by touching the center bar that separates the two apps, and then to swipe it to the other side. To close out any of the applications, we need to touch with our finger on the top center of the screen, and then drag down through the middle and down to the bottom, and then release. Let's go over the Windows Store and installing additional Windows 8 apps. All apps that qualify as Windows 8 apps, like Internet Explorer that we just looked at, are installed through the Windows Store. Find the tile that says Store on the Start screen and touch it to open the Windows Store. If there are any updates available for any of our installed apps, it will show the number of updates in the top right corner. In this case, I haven't done any, so there's 31 available updates. The store is organized into categories. If you want to view the full contents of the category, you can touch the category name to open it. There are options for the top paid apps, top free apps, and new releases for each category. Again, we can slide the categories over. If you would rather search by app name or by keyword, we can use the built-in Windows search function in the charm bar that we looked at earlier. Let's swipe to open the charm bar. Select Search. Let's touch the entry box to bring up the on-screen keyboard. Let's enter Skype. And now press the icon for the spyglass to start the search. We have several results, but the first option is the Skype app that we want. Let's touch it once to select it. Here we can read the overview, details, and reviews for each app. We can see that this app is free. If there was a price to buy the app, it would be listed here instead. We can go ahead and install the app by touching the Install button.
One thing to keep in mind is that the Microsoft Store requires you to have a Microsoft account, such as Hotmail or Outlook, in order to download and install apps on your tablet. Your Holy Cross email account will not work for downloading apps. If you need to download apps on your tablet, setting up a Hotmail or Outlook account is easy and free of charge. Also, do not forget that only educational apps are allowed on Holy Cross devices. Games and entertainment apps are not permitted.
In addition to being able to install new apps from here, we can also see what we already have installed by opening the App menu, by swiping down from the top center of the screen, and selecting Your Apps.
Now we are going to go over some Holy Cross tablet settings. Let's go to the desktop. Remember, if at any point you need to use the touchscreen keyboard, just click on the keyboard icon at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You may set up the keyboard any way you like by selecting the different options and methods. Now let's go back to the desktop. You will notice that we already have the desktop loaded with the apps you will be using the most. Let's go over a few of them. We have 3 internet browsers installed on your tablet: Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, and Google Chrome. Everyone has their own personal preference for browsing the web, so we left the options up to you. The email icon will take you to your Holy Cross email login page. Once you log in, you will be able to access your email and your cloud storage in OneDrive. The HCHS website icon will take you to the Holy Cross High School website, where you can find important school information. The Sycamore icon will take you to your Sycamore login page. Through Sycamore, you can check your grades, communicate with teachers, and much more. You will notice 4 cougar paw prints, each representing a different class. This is where you will find the links to your digital textbooks and any software you will be using in your classes. The Help button icon is there for students to help them solve issues with their tablets. The student can find solution and instructional documentation in there.
You should now have a good understanding of how to navigate Microsoft Windows 8 using the touch interface and on-screen keyboard.